Hello, Hordur.
Hey.
Did you have heating last week? I mean, like I just saw your gloves last week as well. Like what's the temperature at your place?
Well, we keep the temperature here. Well, the thermostat is set at 62 Fahrenheit, which
that's pretty low.
Yeah, that's like almost 17 degrees Celsius, 16 to 17 Celsius. Yeah, that's pretty low. I wear my sweatpants and my hoodie. These are pile lined actually from Uniqlo. So like these are warm. Like you wouldn't normally wear these indoors.
And why don't you turn up the heating? I mean, you are in Canada, you have proper heating there. Because in southern countries they don't have heating.
We have heating, but we use it to prevent the pipes from freezing.
Are you just trying to save money? Or?
Yeah, I mean it's not our house. This is how it's been done so far.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have to just get up real quick to let the cat out.
Yeah. All right. I hope everyone is doing well and
Freyr lights this year, first time ever. So.
Oh, nice.
And it has different modes as well. So this is the party mode.
Fun. We got our tree. Oh, let's show ours too. All the way down there. There's ours over there. Yeah. All right, everyone's showing this. I'm showing my disheveled house. How's everyone doing?
I'm now jealous. I also want a nice tree like that.
It's pretty random tree actually. It's like 10 years old, and I don't know, like it was from the previous owners. It's plastic. Nice. Fairy lights just does the job.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife is used to like a new tree every year, so we always go and cut one down. I always feel a little bit weird about it, but it smells nice. So
I have a very quick social question. Who is interested in board gaming? Okay, 1, 2, that's it. I know 3, yeah, 4, Tigers 5, and me, that's 6, and Maria 7. That's a lot. Okay. I will make it to a time that wants with someone, and then we will be able to organize it. Cool.
Yeah, or you know, we could always do a holiday tournament, or I don't know, just make it like a one-time thing and see if it takes off. Also.
Yeah. Okay, I will set a time that will be probably late for me, early for some of you, and then we can play for a few hours or something. If you have any game recommendations, just tell me. I will use Tabletop Simulator. Does anybody have objections, because you have to buy it for $9 or something?
There's a website which where only one person has to buy the game, which is called boardgamearena.eu.
Okay. I will check that out.
It's a bit like, I mean, it's a website, so it's very accessible, works on all computers. You need a big screen for some of these board games to be like playable, but it's I used it in the past. I subscribed. I canceled because I didn't use it. Like, I used it for like a couple of months with friends. It's only $5 a month, and there's no binding period, so you can just subscribe and then cancel right away.
Cool.
And yeah, it's really good.
I've checked out what they can offer for 5 to 8 people.
There might even be free games that are playable like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check out, and then we can you can set the date. Cool.
How do you play Pandemic Legacy? No, sorry.
All right, Victor, you want to take us away?
Sure. What do we expect to ship in 13.7? I took the planning issue and I know a few items that we do expect to ship, so I did not add those to this list. I just added the ones that where I have question marks. The first is about whether CAS is being enabled by default or not in Omnibus and in Helm charts, because I've seen from Joao that he's working on it, but I don't know where we stand with it. Do you have any information about that?
Omnibus, I think charts is already done, and I think an Omnibus is in review.
Okay. So you're not sure. We just okay. I mean, I will ask Joao as well, probably, just if you would know. The second is the actions in the Terraform state listing view. Do we?
The download action should be done. I was hoping the lock action would also get done, but the download is stuck in MR. Maybe it'll get done soon, hopefully. I don't know.
What about the deletes?
Deletes, I don't think it'll get done.
Okay.
All right, then should we wait on that one then, Victor, until we have all three? It might just be a better release post and a more clear announcement.
Probably we should.
It's not like we're lacking on items to announce this month.
Yeah. Okay. Then deploy boards to core. That seems to be a yes from Tiger.
Yeah, I think it should be. I've been splitting it up into as many pieces as I can because there's just heaps of lines to move. But I don't see any reason why not.
Cool. One more question for everyone is that, do you know any other items that might be worth a release post and were not added to the planning issue? Think about the release post that if you can ship something amazing, that's what people are most likely to read. And for example, when we shipped the Terraform features, we got users who upgraded their GitLab instance because they saw those features in the release post. Okay, if there's nothing like that, then let's move on to the next topic. And I will likely just leave the meeting now because I'm pretty tired. So thanks for your questions, and please discuss those topics in the agenda. See ya.
All right. So it looks like we got two feature issues to discuss. We're continuing to discuss the reverse tunnel. To begin with, I think we're trying to drive towards a definition of done for this. I haven't gone through all the latest kind of threads here. Can anyone sum up their vision for what they're like, how this could work?
I can repeat what I commented, what I said in the comment one day ago, and what we are discussing with Victor here on this page. So I think, I mean, the most straightforward thing that you can imagine, I think, is you have a CI for some project, then you have agent and maybe more than one agent configured in some other projects. And the agent is something where you grant permission to interact with this agent to a particular job in a particular CI build. And that means there may be multiple agents that allow to access them from a CI job. And then because CI, the philosophy behind permissions, the permissions model is the CI job is getting the permissions of a user who kicked it off. So that would mean the agent should, for any actions it performs, should impersonate the user who is, who kicked off the job. This just basically, we have to do this because this is how things work, to be consistent with everything else. If I'm not misunderstanding something, and here we have, I guess this is a general case, and now we need to think maybe we can start with something, simpler, like it's a CI job for the configuration project itself, and then you don't need any permissions, like explicit grant of permissions. Then perhaps this whole pipeline, all the jobs in the pipeline get access to the cluster managed by the agent in this same project. And that was a suggestion by Victor. I think it's an excellent suggestion. And then in the comment, Victor is asking, how do we ensure like only some people are authorized, some users are authorized to basically make use of this connection to an agent, but it follows from how it works. If we impersonate a user, that means any mechanisms that are in place already to restrict what the user can do should just work naturally. So in a Kubernetes cluster, that would mean airbag or any other authorization things in place, like admission webhooks and custom API server, maybe whatever you have there that decides whether something is allowed or not. Those things can just do their job properly. So it's a matter of, for the cluster administrator, it's a matter of putting the proper checks in place. And we don't need to have another layer on top of that, I think, that adds any restrictions. So what we could do is we could, to the identity of the user, we could add extra information which can be considered by the authorization mechanism on the Kubernetes side. There is a special not field, but a group of fields, extras. And then we can also, not maybe can, we really should do this, is to populate users groups with GitLab groups they are part of, so that, again, authorization mechanism can take into account this stuff as well. So as a cluster admin, you could grant some access to a namespace, for example, to a whole group and not individual users, or maybe do something more interesting in an admission webhook. I think there is also a project called OPA, Open Policy Agent. I think it allows you to write a more kind of advanced logic to perform authorization checks, and user like cluster admins could use this as well. So there is so many things that allow you to configure permissions in a very fine-grained way. I don't think we need to build yet another one. I think our job is to just propagate the identity of the user. And I hope it can be deduced somehow from the CI token. I haven't researched.
Yes. So currently there must be a user that runs the CI job. That's the design principle. Though there are discussions on on how to work around that. And it's a common feature request, so I don't know. So I think that all sounds okay. And then I think we also have an MVC, which is great. And then if we want to kind of, that implies that currently the developer role in GitLab is allowed to access the cluster. And if you want to restrict it further, then it sounds like the Terraform thing where we can have protected branches as well, where it can only run on protected branches to restrict it to maintainer. The other thing that I haven't seen discussed is, do we want to allow any runner to be able to access your cluster? I mean, that's a pre-existing problem actually for many projects on GitLab, where people for some reason might not feel comfortable with shared runners accessing your cluster or your private resources, for example. But there might be a separate follow-up. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
If you are not comfortable with that, don't configure it this way.
Yeah, it's default. Yeah, it's default. Currently, GitLab defaults to allowing shared runners. There's a button you can press in your project settings to disable shared runners. So, yeah.
Yes, but also I just mean don't grant access from this agent to a shared runner. Like,
yeah,
to a CI job which uses shared runners. Don't do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's no link between jobs and runners, unfortunately. So any runner can pick up the CI job. Yeah. So the link gets made when the runner picks it up. So we don't know. And the only kind of place where we can put a stop to that is at the project settings level. There's no other place.
But there's also tags that you can use, but I think that the shared runner can still pick up anything.
I think this is fine, isn't it? I think, like, I imagine it as a chain. So where two pieces of the chain like hold together, that's where you configure, is it going further or not? So agent to CI job and then CI job to the runner. So if CI job is fine to be run on a particular runner, then like we are attached to the CI job, not to a runner.
To the runner, yep. Makes sense.
It's like it would be a duplication of functionalities to some extent if we also support restricting it on this this piece of chain. Like,
right. My intuition is saying just leveraging existing like authorization like fundamentals. It sounds like we have fundamentals around who can access what job, what users can access what projects. The more that we can leverage kind of what exists makes sense, rather than having an additional piece to configure, an additional piece to potentially misconfigure, right?
So I think that all looks good. It's for MVC though. I don't know. I don't really understand what happens if we have multiple projects. Is it like something like we will have multiple contacts and then the user has to choose between one or something like that? Is that right, Mika?
So that's what we are discussing. So for MVC, we're talking about granting access to CI of the configuration project and nothing else. So you will get a default context and there is no way to get anything else, I guess, for MVC.
But if a configuration project has more than one agent.
All right. I keep forgetting about that. Oops. Yeah, I think we need to, I mean, MVC is a good thing and to reduce scope is a good thing, but sometimes there's just no way. At least I don't see how to do that here.
So if we pass a kubeconfig, like if that's how the credentials are passed, then we can just pass all of them. Or we could use environment scoping, but passing all would be the like probably pure MVC that doesn't introduce environments to the mix. And then, no defaults.
Then you have to go kubeconfig dash context this name.
Yeah, exactly. But that's only if you have multiple, which makes sense, right? We can't decide which one you're going to use if you have two. So then you just have to write the one you're using.
So the problem with defaulting is, and I described it in the issue, is if you have multiple agents that grant access, and you had just one before, which was the default. Now, when you have multiple, which one will be the default one? So we can have a default. That means your previous job that relied on the default now suddenly stopped working.
We can make the default always the oldest. I was thinking about this in the context of doing the same for the old cluster integration, where like we have a uniqueness constraint on the environment scope, but so only one cluster can have a given scope, I think. Or we enforce it so that you can only ever get one cluster. But we could, in theory, send you all clusters that match a scope. But you have to somehow do it in a backwards compatible way. So if you do the oldest one, then you get the one that was, or oldest closest. So first the one that's closest, but that's irrelevant here because it's all at the project level. So it'd be only the oldest.
So it becomes trickier rather than easier.
Maybe MVC is that we only support one.
Yeah, I'm feeling like just supporting one for now. But
and it will send you the oldest only.
Yeah.
Done.
I think you see there is not much difference between one and all. Like we need to have a reverse index from a project to what agents allow this project to access them somewhere in the database. And once you have the index, like you just look it up, construct all the contexts. There's no difference in terms of how much work it is, one versus all of them. It's just a loop anyway. So loop versus no loop.
The other disadvantage to saying we're only going to support one is that will tempt us to provide it as a default configuration, which kind of closes the door on supporting multiple later. So my vote would be, if it's not too much work to do multiple and have, force people to specify which one, I think that's probably a more robust solution.
So I guess how will this be configured in your GitLab CI YAML? Because is this the type of thing where you're gonna define which agent you want to be deployed at that point, or where is it defined?
I think there should be an environment variable that kubectl respects, which tells it which context to use, and the path to the file, and which context from the file. So I hope there are two variables. I'm pretty certain there is a variable to where you can specify the path, and we can set that automatically. But with the context,
you can say kubectl set context with the name. That's simple enough.
Yeah, I just thought maybe you can have a global variables where you put it, but maybe not.
If we have many contexts, then we need to list all of them in some sort of variable so that the user can choose.
Well, the kubeconfig has all the context in it, so we don't need another variable, I think.
Right, they'll be able to interact with it with kubectl, right? They'll be able to say like kubectl, it's like get context or something.
List context, yeah.
Yeah.
And can you like set the context globally for the context of the shell?
Yeah, I think that it mutates the kubeconfig to set the default context. So there's like an entry in the kubeconfig that sets the default one, or current one, or whatever.
So we emit so we create a file, and then we emit like a variable with a path to the file, which is currently what we do for the current Kubernetes management anyway. And then we don't set a default kube context, and then we have some sort of instructions to say, here's the format of the kube context names, and then you can set whatever kube context you want, and then it will magically kubectl commands.
Right? I want to say that kubectl, if there's no current context in the file will tell you that somehow. I think it tells you that there isn't a current one, that you need to set it, and here's how. Like if you try to call something.
We can experiment with those things.
Yeah, looking at the docs, it doesn't look like there is a variable to set the context name. There is a variable to set the path of the file, but not the default context. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if we really wanted to go down that road, I think since we're writing the file anyway, we could just write the entry for the current context if we really wanted to set one. And then we can pick the variable name at that point.
We can just patch kubectl. I mean, upstream the fix. Not a big deal as well.
So
But,
we'll have.
yeah.
We should just probably start shipping a Kubernetes distribution. You know, GitLab K8s. We should probably have our own container OS for it to run too. So probably GitLab OS.
These are all good ideas.
We do ship a K3S variation, but it doesn't really change any Kubernetes related functionality.
I mean, we have kind of talked about shipping K3S, just basically change Omnibus into a K3S distribution, and GitLab CTL becomes wrapper scripts. So we're almost there anyway.
All right. So do we feel, so I guess to me, like I'm feeling clear on the single project MVC, but it sounds like we can't just ship that we need a solution for the multiple projects. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, why not ship? I don't see what is not clear. I don't understand. Like, just populate the file with all the allowed agents, and then let the user pick which one they want to use.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. But where are they going to pick it?
In the build, kubectl set context, or however it's called, something like that.
In their GitLab CI.
Yeah.
Right. So in their GitLab CI, they'll pick it there. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to understand where they would, like, if we need to build a UI. Maybe I should have been specific, like, because that's when I'm trying to get the whole picture. So there's no UI required.
I think UI would just be the allowed agents, right? Like, okay, what projects can access what? But that's already planned, right?
I mean, this configuration will be in the agent's configuration file, but that doesn't mean we cannot show it in a visual way, because I agree that would be nice to go into the agent's page and see all the stuff in a visual way, basically.
Which agents the current project has access to.
Yeah, the reverse as well. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will. I'll take all that and craft up a definition of done for this.
So I think the unknown is how to make this happen in the runner, because it should be the thing that's creating the configuration file, right? Or maybe.
Well, this one we already have a precedent for with the old cluster integration. So it would just be picking together the agent, like the authorization, like it's all on the GitLab backend basically. So the way it works is that you can, when a build is being created, you can choose which environment variables it gets, and then at that point, you know this build has agents, or like this project has agents. You check for that, and then you add the extra variables.
But we need to add an extra file, not just variables.
Yeah. So a variable can be either a path or a file, and this is just built in. CI variables are either values or paths to files.
Oh, okay. So when it's a path to file, you can also provide the contents. Okay. Okay, then I guess another thing that comes to mind is this reverse index, where it's the agents that grant access to a project or multiple projects, but then the CI runs for a project. So how a project would find out which agents it is allowed to access? So some sort of
yeah, I don't. We're not. That's not for MVC, right? MVC is just the same project, one project.
Yep. All right. Okay. That's a good point. So for MVC, we just do this for CI of the
config project,
configuration project. Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Maybe I'm missing something. I'm still a little confused. If the project needs, so the CI job when it's created needs to know the agents that are available in order to write the file, the kube config. Are the agents registering themselves somehow, or are we just making an assumption that there is an existing agent for every project and like writing a config potentially? Like, I guess I'm confused how that link works.
Right. So yeah, I need to draw this up, but let me explain it visually. When we create a CI build, we emit a whole bunch of variables, right? And one of the variables we emit is a kube config file, and a kube config file will have two things. One is the URL. The URL is going to be like cas.blah/ something agent or something. I don't know. I haven't figured the detail. And then the second thing is some sort of password as well, which is going to be the CI job token, which identifies the job that is running on. It also identifies the project, by the way, which is good. So when Cas receives this, so that's going to post to Cas. When Cas receives this, Cas is going to take the CI job token and go back to GitLab and ask, hey, what is this for? Is this CI job token authorized? And so GitLab is going to say that CI job token belongs to this agent. That's where the agent ID is really important. And it matches it's the same project of that thing. So it matches that. So it sends back a 200 back to Cas, and then Cas will connect to the agent that's responsible. This is where hopefully we have the right agent. This is where we might need the which agent is connected thing.
Yeah, this all builds on the communication stuff that needs to be built.
Yeah.
We just cannot bypass that, I think.
Yeah. So Cas we need to find which agent is connected, that agent that is connected, and then forward on that Kube API request and wait for a response and then forward it back.
So how is it getting the agent ID, I guess?
So in this case, you will have one, like the project that configures the agent is also, or agents actually, is going to be the same project as the one that deploys the manifests, yes? And it will read, it has to read the agent configuration file to see, and it's just going to see it's like it needs to look at the entries that map for itself, so that project. So on CI, we need to check, is there an agent configuration file? We need to read that to see which agents are allowed for this project, which is kind of weird because we're in the project that contains the file that's going to run the CI. But yeah, we're going to have to read that.
I think it's simpler than that. We can just look at the agent records for that project, for the config project, because it's the same project.
But what if there are more records than have been configured to run? Like,
yeah, that's one issue as well.
And how do we build this so that it can be used when it's not the same project?
I don't know.
Yeah, we need to look at the configuration file from the target project And probably we don't want to be reading from Gitly every time we want to make such a query, because like that's like every time we start a CI job for like that's using this. So maybe we would cache it in the database like on commit or something.
Or maybe if when the agent syncs the configuration, maybe it can tell the internal API what projects it thinks it has access to.
Yeah, I think there was a comment somewhere where I said we have two approaches: either a background job that scans all of those things and updates an index, or we can do what you are saying, which is incrementally keeps an index up to date, which is totally doable and probably an easier path as well. And the index will be more up to date as well.
It feels like it'll be just up to date enough, because if the agent isn't connected, then it's a moot point. We're not going to be able to tell the agent to run kube to proxy kube configs or kubectl commands. So if it's connected, then it has already updated the index, and so we know how to get to it. So it's clear as mud.
I think we need a document for the design to make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah, I think so. Do we want architectural blueprint? Would that be?
Yeah, I think that's the right thing, because it sounds like it will potentially interact with runner, and maybe we'll need to make some changes there. Maybe not.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
But it definitely touches on the communications one, so yeah.
Okay. Does anyone want to take on a architectural blueprint, or I can create a stub of one and can fill it out?
Yeah, I can write it, especially for the multiple projects one.
Yeah,
but it seems like we have enough to go on for the single project one, right?
Yeah, well, like the difficult one is just that we have a configuration file that needs to be queried, and it's in Gitly, or like it's a Git file, and we need to efficiently index it, keep an up-to-date copy of that information.
Yep.
It's actually really similar in that sense to the cluster management project, where we needed to keep track of the installed Helm releases, where we had like a Git action that had to trigger a change in the database. We've done most of that, right?
We thought about it, but we haven't done.
Oh no, yeah, we didn't parse we never parsed the Helm file actually. Yeah.
I almost wonder if it isn't simpler to go for the agent connection, updating the index approach first, rather than querying Gitly at all. I don't know.
But like the agent connection, well, maybe we can try it out.
It feels like we're already incurring the Gitly read at that point anyway. So just anything else we do would be adding additional reads against Gitly.
All right. Well, let's move this to a blueprint document. We can clarify everything there. So and just to be clear on this architectural blueprint is is this also for the single project agent, or is this for the multiple? Like, can we build something now, the simplest possible MVC, without an architectural blueprint?
I mean, we first need to build the reverse tunnel before we build connectivity from the runner. So, and then there is a blueprint for that, and there is a lot of work that needs to be done for that. So we have a lot of work that is not blocked, that is on the path to the reverse tunnel from the runner. I guess what I'm saying is we are not blocked by this blueprint.
Okay, so we can begin work on the reverse tunnel as a bigger idea, right? Like we might not have a deliverable right away.
We do have some deliverables which are available by themselves, which can use the work that needs to be done anyway. For the reverse tunnel. They are agent information page, so we can display information about an agent, the agents that are connected actually to some cars, because we will need to track them for the reverse tunnel to know where to send traffic to. And if we track them, we can show them to the user. And it's just an API for cast to expose and for GitLab to call, and this is necessary for the reverse tunnel as well. Okay,
well that segues really well into the next issue we need to discuss. So this next one is management interfaces for the agent. I think this is, actual UI to be able to see what's going on in the agent. I'm curious about the word management, because as far as I understand, we're not going to be actually changing anything about the agent using a UI. Maybe I'm totally wrong. This is more just read-only information. I guess, does anyone have any other, based on this issue, does anyone disagree with that? It seems like it's mostly like health checks and, metrics and number of syncs, number of connections. It's not actually, I can manipulate anything about the agent through this interface.
Yeah. It feels a lot like the like on connection telling a project that an agent is connected and has access kind of thing. It's just, here's a bunch of information, every time an agent connects, sending this stuff to GitLab.
It's actually more than management. It's actually information. So this is actually the actual feature that most people want actually, in that here's what the agent is doing for you, like really crucial information. I would encourage us to think of it as more than just one page. Like it might be a series of pages as well, sort of like how CI has like jobs, a page for jobs, a page for pipelines, a page for job traces, that kind of stuff. Like it's a whole series of things to display information about your work that you're doing, or about the work that the agent is doing for you.
Could potentially all roll, like each individual thing could also be rolled up into like a health dashboard, like how many agents are running. Unhealthy would be like not connected in some period of time. You could have healthy clusters and unhealthy clusters that are out of resources. Like this could be a huge, like Thong said, kind of a lot more than just a page.
Yeah, so those health checks are useful for a certain persona, and then there's more different personas at different pages.
Yeah, I guess the point I was just trying to make is that this is not about editing or updating your agent. It's more about receiving information, like getting information.
Sounds more like monitoring.
Monitoring, really. Yeah. Observability.
There you go.
Yeah, we
analytics and observability.
It's deployment, right? As well.
What's that?
deployment as well. So
Yeah, it's like observing your deployments, right? I can't actually create a deployment through this interface.
no.
But you could see which ones have been done, which ones have failed, which ones have succeeded. Like you'll be able to see all that kind of like roll up information probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that this would be really valuable.
Yeah, I think I like us to focus more, if this is just me personally, to focus a lot on the detailed information rather than the rollout information first. But yeah, this is my preference.
Looking at the issue, that seems to be the primary question. What's the reasonable MVC?
So that it would be focusing on like a specific agent or specific cluster and having all the detailed information about that. Or we're saying that that's good
like a specific
start.
use case. Yeah, like a specific use case. And the most glaring one is the GitOps use case. So where the agent's doing the deploy for you, but it doesn't. We didn't show anything about it on the user interface.
Right. It's hard for me to trust what I can't see.
So maybe a combination of 1 and 2 there, sync status of manifest projects and basic connectivity information. Could even do that as an activity stream, I guess, if we get 3.
Yep.
Looks like, Mikhail, you have, is that something you're already building?
No, not yet. But yeah, it's just an issue about the idea to have an activity stream like what you have in your profile, something like that, where we show all the important events about the agent. And that might include all those things like deployment status, not status, but what was happening at what time and in which, well, for this agent. So it's not a page or tab where you go and you see the dashboard. It's a stream of things. And one doesn't mean we can't have the other. I think both are useful. The activity stream is useful for debugging and also, and this is where it's really, where we can use this to our benefit compared to other solutions, where we have sources of information, like different sources of information. We can overlay this information on the time scale and show what was happening. And we can show deploys, commits, like agent GitOps syncs, various monitoring events, alerts, stuff coming from Cilium, like everything in a single timeline. I think this is the cool kind of outcome of being a single application for everything. And this is what our users hopefully want, because this is really cool, I think, and can be really useful to troubleshoot.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you ever used Datadog, but they have a beautiful.
I have used it quite a bit, yes. But we can do even better than that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I imagine this activity stream will be structured, right? Hopefully.
Yes, it should be structured. It shouldn't be just like unstructured
strings,
list of strings. Yes, it should be typed events. Then we can build different filters that, how is it called? Event sourcing. If you are familiar with what this is, there's a stream of events, and you can build views from that stream to materialized views. That's how they're called. So you can show dashboards and anything based on the stream.
Cool. That sounds good.
All right. Any other ideas for management interface for the agent?
I think we can start small and just show what agents are connected.
Okay.
Because this is on the path to reverse tunnel.
Is this where you would pick the agent, or it's already picked and now you're viewing the details of it?
Yeah, you are just viewing the details of a particular agent
Okay.
for a particular project which you are looking at, basically.
And this is in the configuration project, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the whole setup or authorization connection is a separate user flow.
Yeah, I guess later, once we have the piece where the agent, like if we know what agent is allowed to a project, like that's not the configuration project, we could also have a corresponding page in the non-configuration project that shows probably a different set of events from the stream. So probably more focused on like deployments of that project. But they could end up being very similar in the UI, like in terms of what they look like and where
That
they
is
are.
why I asked for structured events. So if the event is related to that project, then we can attach the event to that project. If not, then yeah.
And then like you can even probably click between things. So like say you're on a project that's being deployed by the agent, you could click on the agent and be taken to the configuration project, the same page, but in the configuration project where you can see what all of what that agent is doing, not just to your project. That would be kind of cool.
So we have more features, not just GitOps, or we will have more features. So actually, this made me think of the stuff that the protect or container security team, what's the right name, what they are building with Cilium. This is also an event stream, right? What they are doing. So one day when we have this event stream, we could just merge two things together, and their event stream for them becomes a filter on top of our event stream, basically. That's just Cilium events, but then we have the overall stream of events that which we can show in the agent view, and then we can funnel out the bits and pieces into other interfaces.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. In order to keep moving here, I think we can. If you have any other thoughts, please add them to the issue. I'll try to paste a lot of these comments in. I've got the next few items. We had a security issue or some people that kind of ran into our thing that we had found, kind of known about with Terraform plant JSON. Like the fact that we put it into an artifact. And so I've been communicating with them a bit about the work or the remediation and documentation that we added a while ago. Matt is already working hard on fixing the actual root problem here, I believe. We might be adding a little bit more documentation on to make it really clear that you should not put your AWS credentials into your, you should encrypt things basically, and that we're not responsible for that. So just FYI on that. Also, the next release, we're going to be starting the release preparation on the 15th. So, okay, Thong, did you want to add anything about that Terraform plan artifact?
No, just noting down what you said.
Yeah, we already have it noted, but once we split the docs into two different pages, then the warning got removed from the first page. So then they were like, why isn't it on the front page? And I said, well, it used to be there. So I added it back to so now it's duplicated. We can put it in, add a blink tag or whatever we want to it. Make it clear. So yeah, we have the release preparation starts on the 15th rather than the 18th. So we have essentially a week and a day to do all the work you need to do for this milestone. So let's just stay in communication. If you think that your thing's not going to get merged, then we can halt on those release posts. It's not a big deal. Let's just communicate about where your thing is at. Also, do the engagement survey if you haven't already. Or I should say, feel free to do it. It's not, it's optional. I think I made it sound like it was mandatory. It's not mandatory, but feel free. All right, so we'll jump into the agent breakout. And I think some of this has already been talked about. I'll let people, so the first item in the agent breakout is CAS enabled by default on both Helm and Omnibus? It sounds like, Matt, you were saying that it's underway, or it's either already merged on both or it's going to be merged on both soon. So that's great. And then the agent production rollout, I wanted to talk about that. I met with Anthony Sandoval, who is the EM for SRE observability today. And we had a good chat about the agent. And so his team would be responsible, if you look on that Kubernetes agent to production environment rollout issue, he said that his team will take responsibility for the top 4 items there, the tracing, sentry, logging, and metrics. They'll be, they're happy to kind of configure all that for us. The other items, the rate limiting, he said that it would probably make sense for whoever was going to deploy it to do that. He said that his team would likely not be the team to deploy it because they don't have the experience with Kubernetes, actually. So he said that Graham is actually the most experienced person, either that or the delivery team. So I'm going to connect with the delivery team about this. As well, Thong and I were talking earlier today about, and it sounds like there's already been some previous discussion about deploying it ourselves. Maybe someone could just speak up about what the thoughts are there.
I think Graham was just showing us some pointers to the Helm files. So
Okay.
we can always make an MR to do that, but we can't see the results, or at least we can't debug anything. I think we can still see the pipeline. So I think we will probably, we can make an MR if we want to speed things up and then get one of the delivery teams to kind of side check us.
Yeah, that's what I'm, if we're able to do that, that's probably what I would propose with delivery, is that we can go ahead and create the draft MRs. Those MRs would be blocked, in my opinion, by the observability issues here. We want to make sure that we have all the observability stuff in place before we merge anything. So, but we could go ahead and create those draft MRs now, from my perspective.
Do I understand correctly that the observability stuff will be done in staging first? Because, I mean,
yeah,
in production, we don't have it. So they will not see anything in production. They will not be able to get any feedback. So staging, and then they will just copy it to production.
Yeah, that's what they'll definitely do. Anthony did say that the stage environment is not really on par with production. There's not equal parity. So what that means at a technical level, I'm not totally sure, but he kind of made it seem like we can test what we can test in staging, but he was also curious if we could deploy CAS in production, but not actually hook it up, like deploy it, but make it inaccessible so that they can test it, but no users could actually hit it. That makes sense, kind of.
Maybe they
YOLOing
can
it.
just do something with the load balancer, maybe. Well, restricted to some IP addresses or something in an ad hoc way, maybe.
Okay. Okay, well, I can follow up with, I kind of feel like we're going to be getting more involved with different SRE teams. And I'm going to be kind of vetting it out because they sound really busy. The observability team sounds really busy. I don't know about delivery. They're probably really busy also. So, I will influence what I can, but we have to be, we're gonna have to work with them to get this done. Obviously, if it seems like it's gonna take longer than 3 weeks, then we can just wait for Graham to get back because he'll be back, right?
He said on 25th of December, right?
Oh.
Wait, maybe. I remember 25th for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I remember 3 weeks, but yeah. Maybe
just a Christmas present for us.
Yeah,
He's
I was gonna
Santa.
say. Yeah, he's Santa. All right. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if we should open issues. That's probably the best way to start for delivery team. Maybe we're missing things, just in case.
Yeah, it's possible we're missing things that we need. So for the top 4 items, Anthony said that he would open a infrastructure issue for those. But for the deploy, we could just open an infrastructure issue, which is what I'm guessing the delivery team uses the infrastructure project, or do they use GitLab? Actually, not sure on that.
Don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah. Wherever I can create it, and I'll actually assign. I think it's Amy.
Yeah, Amy Phillips.
Yeah. I'll assign it to her and see what she has to say.
Yeah. Their channel has their channel says they use this one. I've got a link.
Okay.
Yep.
Never know. They might just deploy it, and we'll just be like, "Wow, okay."
Efficient.
Thank you. Yep. So that's all I know at this point. Does anyone have any questions about that, or?
No, but I've got a FYI about the release tools. So I'm working on getting CAS and Omnibus automatically getting the correct version. So it's mostly done, but it's not activated yet. I'm just waiting on Mikhail's update to get us past this breaking change. Because it's not it doesn't hinder breaking changes, this automatic thing. So once we get past this, then I can activate it, and then we don't have to keep bumping chart and omnibus from then on. We just have to update the main GitLab CAS version file.
And Mikhail's change I reviewed this morning, and it looks good to me. I put the ready for review label on it, which is what that team uses to to find MRs that they need to review. So hopefully we'll get a review on that soon.
Thanks, Matt.
Great. Does anyone have anything else? Or all right. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate you taking the time. Great conversation. And have a good rest of your day.